Okay. We are going to be starting a new game. I haven't decided what class I'm going to play yet. I'll figure that out when I get to it.
Perhaps you've seen it.
Perhaps you've seen
Maybe.
it. Nope. I don't like watching the intro in this game. It's long and not interesting to watch at all. Oh, naked man! Zombie! Okay, let's go. In case anybody was wondering what you look like when you start this game. Oh, I also just noticed that you start with half health. Of course, until you reach here, select your class and everything. Okay. So we will be the Mad Uzuki. Because no other name will do, of course. Do I, though? Alright, we have Warrior, Knight, Swordsman, Bandit, Cleric, Sorcerer, Explorer, and Deprived. Typically I like to run melee, so I generally start with a class that is higher in melee stats. It can be a little bit rough simply because I typically like to have a refined balance between dexterity. Generally want 22 at least faith for lightning spear. My main character is a knight, which is going alright. I think I might try a swordsman actually. Swordsman or a warrior. Swordsman is neat because they start dual wielding. Warriors are pretty good because they're the only class that starts with a shield. But the weapon that they start with is kind of crap. But you can get something fairly good relatively early. I will be, I think... Or I could just do something completely different and be a bandit. Bandit. Who I believe out of all of them starts with the highest faith. Yeah, why not? We'll be a bandit. Our gift will be... Because as far as I'm concerned, it's the most useful gift, healing wares. We be muscular. Like the Schwarzenegger. Just the standard face is really fine. Normally I go with this one here. We could be slightly Asian though. That's always fun. Doesn't really make that much of a difference in the end. As far as I'm concerned. But maybe that's just me. Who knows? The weird thing about like the saturation in this is Like, the bright colors are so bright against the dark, like, color scheme of Dark Souls that it's a little weird, to be honest with you, sometimes. Okay. We are going to rock a sweet neckbeard. Because why not? I'm not too worried about the advanced settings. Alright, we're good to go.
All people come here.
Nothing that fancy. So, what's nice about the bandit is they start with a bow. It's not the most useful thing in the world, but it's nice because you don't have to worry about buying one or anything. I think one of the classes actually starts with a bow and no arrows, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. Choppy choppy, get our torch. Now, arguably, I could miss out on some items and some souls by not doing all the tutorial stuff, but I really don't feel the need to. There's no inclination to do so. I apologize if it's a little choppy. That's because of XSplit and the stream. Yeah, there's a lot of those messages in this area about hidden paths and illusory walls, but it's not necessarily true. Okay. This is Majura. And it is the, the hub area, really. Kind of like Firelink Shrine in the first game. This is the most important bonfire in the game. And this is one of the most important NPCs in the game. If you're not aware, there are some major differences in this game. For example, you can hold 10 items instead of just 5, and 3 weapons in each hand. And the rolling and the weight system works slightly differently. We are going to run over here and grab a few things to start off our adventure. We are going to start by grabbing this, just because you can never have enough life gems. Though I guess in theory, if you're good at the game, you don't need them, but... this guy sells some starting armor. Some shields if you have the stats for it. Right now we don't even have the stats for shields.
Well, I do hope I see you again.
A nifty little secret is right over here. And it's not really a secret, but you can hit that. This body comes up, which has a Estus Flask shard in it, which means instead of just running around with one Estus Flask early in the game, you actually can get 2. Which, quite frankly, will be very useful. Now, I don't know how many people are going to get mad, but I will...
Seek those. There's so once you have so that
I will be... Oh my gosh, so much dialogue. I will be using summons and acting as a summon for souls and stuff like that. And it's not because I can't play the game otherwise, but because it's an important part of the game. It's a big part of the game. and it just makes everything go faster. I don't want to be stuck fighting the same boss for 20,000 hours because I simply have not enough damage to take him out quickly. But all bosses can be taken out relatively easily, even by yourself.
That is a wise.
Okay. We're going to be throwing this on just in case we get any early game invasions. Generally, you don't. And that is due partly to how the invasion and the summoning system now works in this game. In Dark Souls 1, it was based off of your soul level. In Dark Souls 2, it's based off of how many souls you've gained in total. Just a fun fact. Okay. Now, normally we would head off into the realm of the giants, but very quickly I want to head up in this direction, just because there's some items that I think are pretty handy for the time being. Whoop. Can't get through that way. At least not as a fatty. Okay, this guy here talks about how there's a strange statue up ahead. And we got a homeward bone off of that body, which is a super useful item for those of you who don't know what it is. It sends you back to the last bonfire you rested at when you use it. Now, you only got 3 of them, but it's relatively enough. I have a general idea of how I'm going to build this character as the game goes on. Alright. First things first. We are going to head into the Forest of Fallen Giants, because that's where we need to go to do stuff. Now, some say this game has a more open path than Dark Souls 1 did, but the opening is still relatively linear. And it is with good reason that we head in this direction first. Because these are where the simplest enemies are, the easiest bosses, everything is such like that. Got a human effigy, which is really nice. Oh my goodness. Might have to use that, actually. I forgot I had to jump there. These things happen. Okay. Cannonball! Into the lake! Whoop. I do that every time, I think. Every time. You're gonna see me walking into the wall for a minute while I come over here and grab a drink. A drink! Okay. Oh, crap. I ended up facing the wrong direction. Oh well. Now I know there's a spot where you can get a shield fairly early on. I have trouble remembering where that is, though, for some reason. I mean, there's a few shields you can get fairly early on that are pretty good, but... Okay. Now, one of the sad downsides to this character in particular is that for now, we only have one weapon. And while we do have a bow, for now we want to use the arrows a bit sparingly. Though there are several instances where the bow will be super helpful. Oh my goodness. Got a throwing knife. Not really what we want right now. If anything, we actually want... Oh goodness. Ow. Okay, not doing so great right now. We are going to pop a life gem, which we've accumulated 27 of. We are going to continue to explore this area. Just a tip, if you ignore that guy, because a lot of people think it's just a corpse, but if you ignore that guy, when you come over here, he will follow you over and attack you. And it is not really a fun experience. Trust me on that. There is something else over here that we can pick up. Now, if you're looking for any... oh, wow, there's a bonfire up here. I never even knew that. We actually shouldn't have rested there. Oh, well. This class is a little interesting because it starts with such high dexterity and low health. But I think that is to the benefit of using a bow. We're getting a lot of items from these guys, relatively anyway. Okay, ow. That was my kneecap. See, if you know how to angle and position yourself to hit multiple enemies at the same time, it definitely makes things a little bit easier. I will not lie, that was right in my head hole. Ugh. This guy. The AI is definitely a lot sharper in this one than they were in the first one. That is definitely a hard truth. Alright, we will pop a life gem. Get another life gem. The easiest way to dodge the arrows are to typically try and dodge roll when they're coming at you, but it's not always that simple. Okay. Now, this is going to be a fairly tough fight up here, but there's not really anything we can do to get around that. Uh, and there's a dude out there shooting arrows at us, which is never a fun time. More throwing knives. From you, we get a broken straight sword, so at least for the moment, we can dual wield something, which is better than dual wielding nothing. Ow. Alright, we are going to hide over here for a second, use a life gem. The archers in this game are particularly brutal. If you have not found yourself keen on that. But don't worry, we can come up here and eliminate him. Yes, most enemies in Dark Souls 2 do have... Oh my goodness. I can't look at the chat and fight at the same time, apparently. But yes, a lot of enemies in Dark Souls 2 have limited respawns, which is done deliberately so you cannot farm them over and over and over again, which I think is just fine. It was a game design decision that they made to kind of work around a lot of the exploits that people were using in Dark Souls 1 for you know, really efficient weapon upgrading and stuff like that. That I think was not really the intention of what they were going for. Okay. Pop another life gem. Now we are going to try and get us a fairly decent weapon, which ironically we can't use quite yet. I can try and make that jump, but I don't want to come all the way around quite yet, do I? I mean, everything's dead. What the hell? Okay. Failed miserably. Did not jump when I wanted to. But I had to come back around over here anyway, so I guess it works out alright enough. This is significantly easier when there is nobody around to be a pain in the tuchus. We'll start off using our throwing knives. This guy can be a little annoying if you don't know how to fight him. Uh-oh. I timed that wrong. When he stops moving, he's gonna do a really crazy lunging attack. Oh! Using those items can really slow you down. And I would not recommend this unless you're truly a bold soul. I mean, it might be wise to come back and try and do this later. Though I will try one more time. There is a strategy I would like to try and employ against him that, for whatever reason, I did not try to employ last time I fought him. Dual wielding with a broken short sword is not exactly the optimal way to do it because it does so little damage. But oh goodness. but it's better than having absolutely nothing to use in my offhand. Oh, goodness. Ah! Just in time. Now, it is kind of annoying because with hollowing in this game, instead of simply dying, you, holy guacamole. Instead of simply dying, you also lose health progressively, which is not exactly a fun time, because obviously it becomes more and more detrimental to your long-term survival, but we don't really have the tools to get around it currently. I mean, we do. We have a human effigy, but we don't want to use it quite yet. Okay. That time went much smoother, I must say. Okay. Got another throwing knife. Exactly what we need, but not really. I'm going to head down here. Head back into here, and we are going to try this one more time. Because this guy drops the... Okay. I thought I saw another guy over there for a second. Because this guy drops a really, really good sword that we do want. The thing about this guy is his attack pattern, but he is relatively easy to backstab, which is nice. Ow! I forgot he did that. So when you backstab, it's a fairly good time to use a Estus Flask. I don't know why I didn't do this the first time. It's a fairly good time... Ow. Ugh. To use an Estus Flask or heal, if you have to, because it takes him a moment to get back up. But I do recommend, moving away from him when you do this. Holy cripeskis, there we go. Okay. Now, we can't use it quite yet, because we don't have the stats, but we got the Hide Knight Sword, which is a very strong weapon with relatively low stat requirements. So now we are going to continue along. The goal is to get to the first bonfire. We can come in here and piss this guy off. I thought I could roll sooner, but I did not. Then there is an item here. Wood bolts. For those of us who have crossbows. Now this guy we can draw out here as such. Now the enemies here can be a little difficult to fight actually, Mostly because they move surprisingly fast. And then there's this guy right here, who we can try to take out with a backstab. There we go. Yoink. Oh. Just a bloodstain, not an item. You can get some relatively powerful gear here fairly early on. This guy shoots bows, if I remember correctly. So... Ow. Really? He's not dead? Okay, there we go. This guy can make me a little bit uncomfortable because of those fire bombs. But if you knock him off and take him out with a lunging attack, a lot of the damage that he can do is heavily mitigated. Okay. Now right up here, before we do anything else, we can push this open, and hey! We have a bonfire. Bonfires, of course, being relatively important, because they are where you heal and everything good like that. We could get some of this stuff. The only thing that's really worth having, in my opinion, is the Traveling Merchant Hat, because it increases item find, but we're not really too worried about that. We do not want to get that, actually. We do want to grab this. And then we are going to head back. Yeah, I get it. To Majula. I need to take a minute to check some messages. Okay. And now, whoop. We can start leveling up. Specifically, we want to bring my strength to 11. We will bring that up to 10. And that should be good for the moment. Later, I will probably be doing some summons and farming, so I can get to a point where I can use... let's just talk to him quickly. So I can get to a point where I can use Sunlight Spear, because it's super useful. Now resting at the bonfire should set him. It does.
You, the knave, and you, the man, not, well, not equipped.
We could get a longsword. For now, I want to buy arrows. We don't need 132 right now. We should probably take... we'll take 90. That'll give us 101 arrows. Okay. Like there's 101 Dalmatians, we have 101 arrows.